Oi, see me ride out into the sunset on your colored TV screen. Out for all that I can get, if you know what I mean. Women to the left of me, women to the right. Ain't got no knife, ain't got no gun. Don't you start no fight.
All right, I made a video earlier today called The Engine of Freedom, and it got a copyright strike against it for approximately 25 to 35 seconds of a copyrighted material. I'm reasonably sure that the reasons given for it being taken down are not the reasons that it was taken down. I tried to make a comparison between doing this particular repair where I put in the new main bearings in my 400 Pontiac and what Donald Trump, in my opinion, is attempting to do against the deep state or to remove this infection that democracy has come down with. So I'll play you the intro and tell you right now that AC/DC can kiss my ass. Every time one of their songs comes on the radio from now on, I'm going to change the station. I'm going to shut the damn stereo off. Because I'm not interested in listening to their music. If their pursuit of profit is so great that even 25 seconds of their music in the background when I'm making a video is unacceptable, I find their music to be unacceptable and I'll no longer be a fan. And they can thank YouTube for that. Or whoever. Alright, this is where it gets tricky. I wonder how many of you out there realize by now that there's nothing that can't be accomplished. Some people are hung up on procedures. They think there's a certain way that things are supposed to go. Well, when you're dealing with machinery that isn't necessarily always the case, I have to make up my own procedure for installing these main bearings because I'm not prepared to go through the expense of disassembling this whole engine. A lot like what Trump's having to do with the deep state. He knows what he wants to do, but he's got to make up his own procedures to get it done. And so far, like I've said before, according to the work, that's what it looks like. So now I'm going to use this engine as an example of what's trying or attempting to be done. I'm going to slip all these main bearings out, lube them up, and push them down from the outside and reinstall all of them without disassembling the engine like the book says. Alright, first thing we gotta do is figure out how to get all this crud out of the pan, the oil pan. So we're gonna soak it down with a little gas. A lot like Donald Trump did to the media. He got them all fired up and stirred them around so that the general population or the American public could see what all was floating around in there. And we've all had a pretty damn good look by now, haven't we? So after you do that, you move on to other things. And this is where the creativity comes in. This is where thinking about your particular project or or problem, as the case may be, before you actually delve into it. A lot like I seen some guy doing years ago on Oprah Winfrey when he was talking about all the globalist trade deals and the things that were dragging this country down that we could easily fix back then. But he wasn't president back then, and he is now, and he's had lots of time to think about how to go about fixing all this. All right, I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out because my whole procedure kind of hangs on the way this thing sits and balance, so I got to start in the middle. So first thing we have to do is remove the old bearing. Thusly. And here's where I screwed up, according to YouTube. I turned up the radio because I think better when there's a little background noise. And there's thinking required in this project. And it's unfortunate that someone else is allowed to determine how I do my work.
No, they're cable ties.
I firmly believe in what I learned in the neighborhood. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Don't screw with me and I won't screw with you. But if you want to screw with me, it's on. I'll play your game. Okay. So where are we at here? Oh, I just got the first one installed. And I believe I'm talking about the fact that there's so many things that need to be untangled, that need to be redone, but to show it to the American public, it has to go in a certain way. Because everything that's been done so far on the government side of things has been all to educate the American people as to what's what, who's who, and what this is really all about. Because a lot of people are onto it, but they don't quite have the story right. They think it's already too late. And according to the work being done, that's not what it tells me. The reason nothing's been done about social media and big tech is the fact that they're allowed to be political donors. So when they get called to testify in front of Congress, those are their people that they're going to donate to, be it a preferable position on their platform, money, or both. And that's why you have a lot of the policies instituted within social media that you see today. They've taken the side of the extreme left, at least wise that's the way it looks. They want complete control so they can maintain their monopoly. What a lot of people don't understand is that there's basically two goals in business. One, to establish your business, and the second part is to make it a monopoly. And at a certain point, it's all about protecting the monopoly instead of customer service like it should have been all along, which established you as your monopoly. So eventually, depending on what they're into, every business gets too big for its britches. They start getting into things that are against the foundations of this country, at least. And in order to protect their position, their power structure, they'll do just about anything. Up to and including making up false accusations against the president. And when it all falls apart, they'll make more false accusations because they have something to protect. I'll get into the definition of subversion. When you go against the Constitution of this country, it's a treasonous act. But just like felonies, there are levels of treason. And subversion is one of them. And that's quite literally what they're trying to protect. There's been treason, high treason committed, but you got to get through all of the little pieces first to find all that. So it's the subversion and the colluding to subvert the Constitution that has to be bought out first, and we're right on the edge of that. And if Trump was one of them, we wouldn't be. The Russia investigation would have never happened. They'd have never broke laws to try to frame somebody who was on their side. These guys are stupid, but they're not that stupid. Years ago, I met these people. I even gave them a name. I call them the smart dumb guys that run everything. And they're very intelligent, but when it comes time for practical applications of their ideas, unless they can trick us into doing it for them, they're freaking useless. All you get when you deal with these people is a bunch of wreck stuff. And they don't give a shit about wrecking stuff because in their mind and their lives, they've always been about, well, I'll just buy another one. I got plenty of money. It's not an issue. When we don't have that luxury, we have to make do with what we can, make it work, color outside the lines if necessary, in order to get what we want and be where we want.
Oh, kiss my ass. Get the hell
And
out of
repairing
here.
this engine is basically the same thing. I couldn't afford to go through the time and expense that it would have taken to tear the whole thing apart. It wasn't all bad. Something happened, something went awry, and we had some damage to one section or a few sections of what makes this engine run. And all I'm doing is replacing the parts that need to be replaced. I'm not tearing the whole thing down and starting all over again. I can't afford, first off, I can't afford it. And second off, we as a country can't afford to go offline for that long. So everything has to be done on the fly.
Damn it.
But where most people, I guess you could say, fall into the mind trap is the way things have been. We've had plenty of people in elected positions say that they knew about the problem, said they were going to do something about the problem, rolled up their sleeves and looked like they were getting ready to go to work, but never actually quite solved the problem. So when the problem remains, the problems persist. And eventually, that can wear out the whole apparatus. And we don't have the luxury of starting all over again. We don't have the luxury of taking someone's opinion into account going against what we already know works. The American system has been proven to be one of the most successful in history. And it's all based on free speech, free will, and the opportunity to make your own choices. And according to the work that I've been seeing done, that's exactly what Trump is trying to restore. Has he had to go about it in ways that we might not necessarily understand and or like? Yup. But not every repair is going to go your way. He happens to be in a really interesting position, in my opinion. Coming out of the hotel business, he realized at some point that really the United States is just one big ass hotel that we all get to stay in as American citizens. And the hotel business is a service industry. You supply your services and you supply them well, or people don't stay in your hotel. And economically, we as the Hotel USA can only afford to do so much, or it kills our profit margin. And we can't take care of the downtrodden people. We can't look after people who are rightfully citizens of this country and should be further up in line than somebody else who's not to have access to those services. And what's been going on to a patriot or somebody who thinks well of their country has been a disgrace. Each one of these bearings represents a different aspect to our engine of freedom. One of them's for free speech, one of them's for the economy, one of them's for the judicial system, and one of them holds it all together, is the main linchpin. And it's called liberty. And it has nothing to do with skin color. It has nothing to do with political beliefs. It has nothing to do with political correctness. Because this engine only rolls one way. And if you start screwing with all the pieces, like has happened ever since they took down JFK and beyond, you get what we have today. And in my opinion, the so-called social media companies that are there for us, that have made their claim to fame on the backs of regular people like you and me, they ain't in it for you and me anymore. It's all to protect their position so they can keep us locked up in their little corner of the world and they don't lose control. Because the American system's all about innovation and change and new ideas. And unless people are willing to listen to the new ideas, present them in a fair and equal fashion, that's subversion of our Constitution. Because that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's why, in my opinion, this video got taken down in the first place. Because that's, in a nutshell, what I tried to communicate while I was doing all of this. And explain the pitfalls in between here and there as I was doing it. But somebody decided, nope, that's content we don't want out in the world. And picked out an excuse to have it taken down. I've noticed so many different anomalies in YouTube since they had all these paid moderators come in that I can't even hardly describe them all. From disappearing content to stuff that you can't find in searches to comments falling through trap doors. I can't even change my icon or my background on my main part of my channel. And that's all because somebody doesn't agree with the things I say. Someone doesn't care for my attitude. Well, that has nothing to do with the service provided.
Because I'm TNT. I'm dynamite. I'm TNT, and I'll win the fight. I'm TNT. I'm a power load. TNT. Watch me explode.